funny because you're gonna cut this out anyway, right? It's funny because
I just started the recording over again.
Right, but I wanted to, okay.
You'll never know. Welcome to the Country Boy Book Club. On today's episode, we talk about books. What's up, bud?
What? I don't know what's going on right now. We were just in a really good conversation and then realized, wait, we don't need to go there. And then we're talking about books. Yeah, man. Dr. Seuss, Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, did you prefer the cat or the hat more?
I'm not a cat person, so I really like the hat.
Really?
But it's funny because you always wear a hat, and I only wear a hat when I'm outside. So
this is a special hat too. I've noticed that people have been bringing this hat back. This hat is Lake Howard's hat from like the 2000s. It's not mint condition anymore because I wear it.
It's not supposed to be, man. It's a hat.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if they're still making this hat or not, but this is like the OG. When this hat first came out, this is from that era of hat.
Yeah. Although the old Ass Pro shops, man, I didn't take Lake Howard as an Ass Pro.
That's my Ass Pro stop.
Oh my God.
That hat is mint. That's such a good hat. That's such a good hat.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyways, welcome to the Country Boy Book Club. Tonight we are digging into, well, what'd you think of it? Before I say which book it was, what did you think of it?
I'm on the fence.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have enjoyed the book more if I had read it on paper instead of having the author read it to me, because I'm just gonna say it. So this is Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights.
Yep.
And something about you're just listening along and it's fine and everything, and then all of a sudden he's yelling prescription at you, and I'm like, man.
Oh, you didn't like that?
No, I did not. And then
wait.
now, as far as like,
and then why? Because obviously, like, I actually like really like those little parts of the book. So why didn't you like them?
So I was born and raised in an original Free Will Baptist church under a fire and brimstone preacher. And I have no problem with that. But whenever it comes to a book, something like that, it honestly made me feel like I'm listening to a song. And I have no problem with this if this is the flow for the song, but I feel like I'm listening to the flow of a song, and then all of a sudden they break the melody.
Okay.
That's the easiest. We just finished Dave Grohl's book, so reading all that music and everything, but that's the way it seems to me. You've played the kind of like the same. So if anyone knows Mastodon, has ever listened to Mastodon, they're really, really good at, in the middle of a song, they just do a completely different chords, completely change the whole song halfway through it. And it sounds amazing. They do it really, really well. But imagine a band doing that to a song and it's sounding horribly, like Crass. I don't know if anyone knows the band Crass, but it's awful. Like, I cannot. But that's what it sounds like, and I'm just like, no. As far as the substance of the book, I really enjoyed it. It's just listening to it, especially the first part when he's like really into it and everything. But then once he gets kind of past that and he starts to get into the stories and everything, I really did like it.
Yeah, I gotta kind of agree with you on it now. Like, I really enjoyed those little prescriptions, the bumper stickers that he calls them bumper stickers some of the time, that he would sprinkle throughout the book. And I understood that, like, it just happened to be, placed in the middle of the book, so that's how he read it. The aesthetics of having the little excerpt or whatever in the middle of a page, like, that's why it read that way. And I can, yeah, they would be abrupt, and then you would get back into the story. And there certainly was a couple of times in the production, because it's such a long production, where they got a little lazy. Like, most of them flowed just fine. I think they could have, like, actually, provided a little bit more of a sectional break, like, we're taking a break real quick type music in between, like, the book music, the prescription music, back to the book. I think that would have helped it, because there was definitely some times in the middle of the book where the production was a little jagged. You would be in the middle of a statement, and all of a sudden there's a prescription, basically.
And he
I get where you're
screams
coming
it
from
at
on
you.
that.
Yeah. Um, just, I mean, I'm just in the field hoeing because that's where I listen to a lot of my books. I'm just in the
Mm-hmm.
field hoeing, and all of a
That's a
sudden, and
perfect place to do that.
I'm into the story, and there's a half a second pause, and he's hollering at me, and it's jarring. It doesn't really pull me deeper into the story. I'm already there. Um, I don't know, and I feel like it kind of shows um a lot of what Matthew kind of is. Yeah, I called him Matthew. I called his first name. It's gonna happen. We're gonna say his name a lot, but I think it shows a lot of him because he is an actor,
Yep.
right? Um, and it seemed to me like listening to him read his own book, he's playing that part of writer, director, voice actor, all of that. He's doing all of that, sitting there reading his own book for you. And he has that, he gets into it. His later roles are those roles that, you know, explore character. It's
Mm-hmm.
when he was getting away from the rom coms, and that's what he's kind of known for today. Is those characters that are you remember them. It's not just a rom com guy. It's a character that you remember,
Oh yeah,
and I
absolutely.
feel like that was kind of what he was trying to do with this book, reading this book.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish he would have just stepped it down a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was. I think that really got driven home when he was talking about stuff like, the various characters that he's done, um, around the COVID era, right? Like, when he started doing, he had already been doing the Lincoln commercials. He started doing the whiskey commercials, and in the book he says, like, he was focused, like you said, on you know shaping these characters, and fully fleshing these characters out. And that's when I realized, oh, okay, yeah, so that kind of confirms it, right? Like, I want to believe that everything in this book is true, but in the book he says that he's always wanted to be a storyteller,
Right.
and it's just so hard to believe. I want to believe it's true. The things that you read in this book are incredible. Like, the life that Matthew has had thus far has been remarkable. If it's all true, I feel like this book is a production. I think, it would make a good story no matter who it was about, because it's such an interesting story. I don't know if I 100% believe everything. I think it's based on a true story, all of it.
Yeah, I mean that's the part of storytelling, right? There's a couple of stories
Yep.
that I tell from time to time, just whenever I'm around, that I know are entertaining and engaging. If you're into those kinds of stories, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
there's parts this happens with everyone. There's parts that you leave out, and there's parts that you you don't lie about it, but you tell it, the bass wasn't this big, the bass was this big kind of deal. Like it's
I
believable.
hate that. I hate doing that. Like, I think it's so natural for people to do that. And when I catch myself doing that, I feel ashamed, man. It sucks.
But I mean, that's just happens. That's just human nature. That's why history is called, when you spell it out, it's his story.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh,
not the
definitely.
actual event that happened. It's someone telling about the event that happened, and it's from their perspective,
Hmm.
how they remember it. And as time goes on, you stop recalling um,
Yeah.
the actual story itself. You recall how you told it last and the parts that everybody laughed at or everybody was engaged in.
Man, I have this solar podcast, and I got myself in a little bit of trouble with myself, that is, because like I was doing that, I was like, I was saying like how this one manufacturer had provided a product that was literally melting itself apart, and we had uh, a couple of examples on a site in which that had happened, but the story that I told led you to believe that there was just stuff melting all over the place. And then I realized, like, because this was a really fun episode that we were doing, right? And it was just
Right.
us boys, like, shooting the crap, right? And like I was just in a groove, and I was telling a story that was entertaining, I thought, at least. But then I realized way after the fact in post production, like, oh, I want people to just be able to tell this story or play the story over and over again. And like, this is like about a company that I work with and will presumably work with for the rest of my career. This is not good. And so, like, for the beginning of that episode, I had to do like this disclaimer, like, listen, I made some claims, I said some things. I'm going to leave all of it in because I want,
Yeah.
the conversation to be what it
Yeah.
was. And I
And I mean,
like what I said wasn't wrong.
you
The
could have
product
just
really was
quacked out
crap.
the,
Yeah,
if
but
you said the name of the company, you could just quacked it out. But
I didn't though. And we crapped all over him, bro. Like, we tore him apart. We tore him apart.
I feel like that's part of business, though. Um, I I I see it a lot in cars because that's what I talk about a lot with people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not personally a mechanic, but I have a couple friends that are, and I've got one friend who's got a he's got a Mustang GT with like 950 horsepower, some stupid crap,
Wow.
and just like talking to him about like the differences, just like general broad conversations about the difference between Chevy, Ford, Mopar kind of stuff, and um and it's the reason why he said that he ultimately chose a Ford is because um and now he's obviously not talking about anything that's brand new. He's just buying something within his price range, and he was like during this time, and you can see this all the time with Ford, especially with like the new Maverick truck and stuff, is they're all for you buying a vehicle from them and then changing it,
Mm-hmm.
and they have no problem with it. Whereas, we've he's seen a couple different times where like the new Corvettes, the mini Corvettes come out, and there's been a couple people who's put more horsepower to them, changed some things, and it was really really hard for those. And I don't know. This is all he said, she said kind of stuff, hearsay, whatever. Um, but it was really hard for those people to get noticed by Chevrolet's racing division,
Hmm.
whatever it is. Um, they just didn't want any part of them because they were. It's how I feel about Ferrari. Ferrari, when you buy a Ferrari, they don't want you to change any aspect of it, but it's your car.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, just kind of like that. But he said that's what it was. Was he he was trying to order a part, do something. I don't remember the exact thing, but he just was just like, I'm just going to call Ford, find out what I can do. Called Ford, the 1-800 number for Ford. And of course, they transferred him from one person to the next person to the next person. But eventually, someone got on the line and was just like, "Yeah, you can put that in there." But a lot of people that I've talked to have said that that one breaks, and like started giving the guy actual, advice on aftermarket products and which products and which companies make the better quality, and that's just like amazing. Like you look at the Maverick, and they have the stuff that you can just 3D print for it, little accessories here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy that.
Man, I've always been proud of not being a brand guy, but I
Right.
just can't help it. I freaking love Ford. I love Ford. The older I get, the more I realize that I'm a Ford guy.
You get lemons anywhere that you go, but
Mm-hmm.
taking the conversation back around to what you were saying about the solar stuff, I feel like if you're going to make a product, you have to stand by it,
Yep.
and you are not God. You are going to make mistakes,
Right.
right? So just
Right.
whenever you make a mistake, you just stand up for it. Hey, I screwed up. Um, we have to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which, being a Ford guy, I just self-proclaimed Ford guy. Ford, shame on you for your stupid sunroofs and you not just owning that it's a design flaw for them to break as easily. Man, I'm so like almost $4,000 for my sunroof, almost $4,000 to get my sunroof fixed by Ford. Something
Yeah.
that has
So
never worked.
I was looking at a 2013,
Mm,
um, and it was a Lariat with everything on it, and he straight up said the only thing that's messed up on it is the sunroof. And I was like, oh, I know how much that is the cost. And he said, I never used it. I just didn't want it to leak. I knew how much it was going to cost to fix it. And this truck has so many miles on it, it's not really worth fixing anyway.
mm,
So, um, we just sealed it up with
mm,
silicone or caulk or something like that. He said you can't see it unless you slide the thing back, and then it doesn't even really look that bad because I had to take my time and make sure it was right. He
mm.
said, but it just doesn't leak anymore, and that was the main thing. I just didn't want it to leak.
God
I said,
almighty, if
okay.
he just would have known that there's drains in a sunroof and that's why, more than likely, why it's leaking, is the
Nah,
drains are clogged
he said the
instead of
motor.
doing it.
He said the motor had messed up or something in it too.
Mm.
I'm not sure. I was gonna buy the truck regardless, and then he backed out of it. So
So I'm thinking about selling mine, which is kind of a rough deal. Some of you may have seen my truck, and I absolutely love my truck. Like it is the truck I've always wanted, and I finally have it. But I'm realizing that I don't need it, and that is a weird feeling, man. And it's not that I don't
what?
need a vehicle that I really like. Like I want to get like a classic, something, and just have that be my vehicle, you know. But
You
it
called me in
doesn't.
the middle of the day the other day and was like, "Let me buy the Bronco."
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That one Bronco I sent you would be a lot of fun to finish. I just don't know if there will be enough room to do what I want to do. I want to do something with either a 6.9 liter or a 7.3 liter. I want to do something that is like strong and resilient, without all the electronics of the modern diesel engines.
So just get a Bronco too.
Mm-mm. What? Definitely make sure I don't have enough room for the diesel engine I want to drop
I
in.
thought I thought the Bronco twos were bigger. They are
Mm,
bigger.
No, Bronco 2's the Ranger Bronco. Meaning like the 1980s sized Ranger Bronco.
Yeah, but it has to be bigger than mine. Mine's the first Bronco.
Yeah, Yeah,
The
that's
first,
fair.
the
I
Gen
feel like
1.
they would probably be about the same size.
They're
The
bigger.
big ass
Bronco
ones that you're
Bronco
talking
2
about.
is bigger.
Maybe than the original Bronco. I could see that. I can totally see that.
Yeah.
But not as much as like 1976, 78, like those 1984. Yeah, through like 86. Those Broncos were a lot bigger than
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
first gen. And
Yeah.
that's what I want. I found this one in Tennessee. Hopefully it'll become, maybe a part of this channel, definitely a part of the Otis channel. I really want it. Like, I want it, unfortunately, so bad that I don't care. Because it's got the Ford Ranger front end. It's a 78 Bronco that's
Right.
got the F1 front end with the round
Uh-huh.
headlights. It's so sexy, bro. Like,
Right.
it's the only one I've found like that. And I am going to go to Tennessee as soon as I get that truck sold, and I'm going to go get that thing. And I'm
It's
hoping a 7.3 will fit in it.
it's really funny that like you're talking about vehicles because I love vehicles, but all of a sudden I'm like, I want I want a Ford 7810.
7810.
It's a
That's a
huge
tractor.
tractor. Yeah, a huge tractor. They don't, of course, they don't make them anymore. Ford doesn't make tractors. Um, but there's a video that keep running across, and it's a one that's been completely restored, and it's the Class 3. It's the nice one. Um, and it just purrs, dude, brum 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 brum, because oh God, Jesus, and it's
Mm-hmm.
and it's stupid because I mean you've had this conversation, and I mean that tractor ain't got about 103 horsepower, and I'm like,
That's a monster.
fuck, dude, I could pull my whole county with that tractor because the
Yeah.
torque. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
But
That's a monster. When you talk
but
about a 100 horsepower tractor, that's a
yeah,
beast.
yeah. But the other thing that I kept thinking about whenever I was listening to the book, um, this is gonna tell a lot of people just who I am as a person. There's a Rick and Morty episode,
Mm-hmm.
The Purge,
Oh, God.
where they go to the lighthouse and Rick goes to the top and Morty has to listen to the guy's screenplay. And the guy reading the screenplay reminds me of Matthew McConaughey reading his book, and I'm just like, what?
That's pretty funny. That's pretty
But
funny.
anyway, but
Rick and Morty. Wow. That's one that I can't remember a whole lot from because I've typically had about 10 beers before even starting.
it's like the best time to watch it too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Such a good show. That and
yeah.
like
But
Letterkenny. If you haven't tried Letterkenny yet, man, that is probably my favorite sitcom.
I've watched like 4 seasons of it.
Oh, of
Um,
Letterkenny? Nice. Nice.
yeah. I don't want to ruin the last because there's you say one or two things about a show and it completely ruins it for people. But that's something we can talk about off the podcast at some point. But yeah, I really enjoy Letterkenny.
Nice. Yeah. If you've never watched Letterkenny, I highly recommend just going and watching just give it the first 30 seconds, the first 60 seconds of the pilot episode. Just watch that. Don't watch anything else. Just start with the first scene of the pilot episode. It is
Yeah,
pure comedic gold.
for me, yeah, the first scene where they pull up in the driveway and they
Yeah.
have that little. The other thing that I really really enjoy watching is their the cold opens.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They're really
Yeah,
good at that. And
just YouTube Letterkenny cold open and listen to it, and it's perfect.
they've 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 created their own form of artwork. It's just
Yeah,
so different than any other TV show out there, and it's super refreshing.
Yeah, you can, when you watch it, you'll be like, oh, they kind of get this aspect from this and they get this aspect from this, but it's original enough to where it's like, but it's not either of those things. Um,
It's like super masculine, manly, theatrical.
yeah, but it's awkward too.
Oh yeah.
It reminds me of a lot of Steve Carell when he was on The Office. There's just a
Mm,
lot of awkwardness on it,
yep.
but it's enough to keep you engaged. It's not enough to make you want to change the
Yeah.
channel.
It's not as real of an awkward as Steve Carell's awkward is. You know,
Right.
it's a little bit more of a theatrical awkward, so it's a little less painful. The Office awkward is just so agonizingly good. You
Yeah.
know?
And it's like I said, it's enough for you to feel awkward, but it's not enough for you to change the channel.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So green lights. This has been a fun episode, man. This has been we've been on a ride on this one.
Well, yeah. Um,
How about
I'm
his
trying to
freaking
really remember
family, man?
anything.
His family. Like, let's talk about his parents for a second. Bro, that fight that he describes at near the beginning of the book, like I'm pretty sure there was a knife involved. Yeah, there was definitely a knife involved.
There was a knife.
I
Yeah.
mean, just the physical altercation, and then he nonchalantly mentions that they start making love in the middle of
In
the
front of
kitchen,
him. Yeah.
in
In the
front
middle of
of
the
their
kitchen after.
kids, after
Yeah. With
just this
his.
knockout,
Yeah.
drag out, just insane.
Yeah.
I don't want to argue in front of my daughter if I don't have to. I really don't want her to like see, you know, significant conflict in the parental part of her life. That fight that he describes and the way that it ends is just, how do you, like, you can't think that's normal, right? Like, you can't really think that the way you grew up is anywhere even remotely close to, oh my God, bro.
Right. And it's kind of clear later on that at that point in time in his life that was becoming a normal for him, but you can also tell that at certain points that wasn't an all the time thing.
Yeah, sure.
um
Yeah, that's a fair
uh,
point.
there's a lot of dynamics to that relationship.
Yeah.
And because you remember when he took the when he's talking about when he's spent the time in Australia as
Oh.
the foreign exchange student, and there was a kid from Australia that went and lived with his family.
Mm-hmm.
His family, he had the guy from Australia had the time of his freaking life.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
You know,
That's a fair point. I think he grew up in a family that had decent money too. You know, when you know, he was talking about how his dad was going to go broke based on the school that he was going to. Even that, like, okay, so that means you didn't qualify for financial aid. So that means that your family was doing well enough to not qualify for financial aid. Like, you were doing okay at least.
yeah. And I don't remember what year that was. I don't think it was like early to mid '80s, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was. I remember the prices were like $5,000 a semester. Yeah, that's a yeah. For
Yeah,
back then, that was a lot of money.
right.
Yep.
It's yeah, yeah. His family is very interesting, and I do appreciate like him like really providing a window into, because that, I mean, like, of course that helped shape him. That, like,
Right.
how influential growing up with that dynamic as, like, oh, attaboy, attaboy, that must be a strong one. The urination.
I forgot how to be a human and drink.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's tough sometimes.
I feel like a failure. Hold on. I gotta recover from this. This is one of my pet peeves, is doing everyday tasks wrong. It makes me feel like a piece like if whenever you brush your teeth and you make yourself gag.
Oh, see, I don't,
I hate
I
it.
don't do that one. I don't do that one, but I still totally understand what you're talking about. I was thinking about this one yesterday. I stubbed my toe, and like I stubbed it so hard, but I stubbed my toe so often that I'm totally unfazed by just the agonizing pain. I just keep moving, and I realize, like, wait a minute, is that normal? Is it normal to have like just be the person that stubbed your toe so often that you're just used to it and it doesn't phase you anymore?
I think I just think that's an Otis thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Y-
saying.
Yeah.
That's
I
what I'm
walk
saying.
around like if I'm on my property 9 times out of 10 I'm barefooted.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times when um the hoe that I use, it's not a square hoe. I think it's actually called like a butterfly hoe, but it looks like a half moon.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best way for me, and it's pointy on the end, and I have slashed my toe wide open with it.
Well, that's a different story.
And
That's not stubbing your toe.
right, yeah, but it's still like you do something that you do a lot, you did it wrong.
Yeah.
And I just keep going. I get so mad and so irritated at myself that I'm like, screw it. I'm not even thinking about it. It's just fertilizer for the freaking plants. Let's go. Just keep going.
That's
Blood,
right.
sweat, and tears.
Attaboy. Blood, sweat, and tears farms. Oh boy. You know, God, you like 13-story treehouse as a kid. Are you kidding me? Like I built my uncle Lake Howard and I built a platform out in the woods when I was a kid with like scrap wood, and it was a decent size and it was sturdy, but that was just a one-story treehouse platform. 13 stories. He claims he built a treehouse 13 stories tall.
Yeah, how old was he?
I don't remember how old he was,
He
but
was
he was a
young.
child. He was, yeah.
He was doing this at night. He wasn't sleeping. I think he said it took him a month.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think about how tall a story is for a young kid.
Okay. All right, you're putting that in perspective now.
Yeah, put it in perspective of who's telling it. So it probably wasn't actually 13 stories. It was probably 13 stories to him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
13
that
different levels. Yep.
13
Now,
levels.
now I get it.
Um, and obviously, but that's the way I was thinking about it. But yeah, there's a lot of that story that was just like,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
not saying that he didn't do it,
Oh, and great
but
story either way. You
yeah,
know, then
yeah,
that's the thing is like I personally don't care to do a lot of fiction or any, to be completely blunt about it, on this channel. But this is like if any of this book was fictional, it was still so good because it's still Matthew McConaughey. I mean, let's be real.
yeah, yeah,
Like I think the Dave Grohl book, Storyteller, I think that's genuine, 100%. I think I think Greenlight's Matthew McConaughey is maybe a 60-40, 70-30 split between a character and who he really is.
yeah, because he straight tells you he wants to be a storyteller. That's what got him into acting.
So we just glitched there. Let's see what the time is. 34
Yeah,
minutes. That's all right. That's all right. We can keep rolling. I might even leave it in because it didn't glitch too bad, but I lost you, whatever you said last there for a second.
I just said because he wanted to be a storyteller.
Man, and
You
like
know, you got to make the story.
the coming of age story, the fought the muscly bouncer. Like, if that's true, man, holy crap. What a monster.
Oh yeah,
And not actually cool either. Like, what if the bouncer really thought the
right.
dad didn't pay and
He
he was just
cold
trying to
cocked
do his job?
someone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting,
Yeah,
but a great
and
story
you don't do that.
nonetheless.
You don't
Like,
hit people that aren't.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Unless,
but
well, we weren't there.
that's
Maybe the
right.
bouncer was being totally a douchebag. Like, who knows? Who knows? But either way, it's one of those stories where it's like, really, dude, you okay?
And I think I remember him kind of saying in the beginning that, you know, these stories are just what they are. They're stories. They're not the
Oh,
right thing to do and they're not the wrong thing to do,
yeah,
as far as like him just cold cocking this guy.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean,
but yeah,
he admitted, oh, you know what? You know what else, man? Maybe I'm not being fair. Maybe I'm not being fair because he also admitted some other weird stuff, man, like the wet dreams. I don't know.
yeah, there was so much masturbation that he talked about.
I what? Why? I mean, the Lord Byron. Like, I still haven't
Lord
looked at.
Byron, yeah,
I still haven't looked that up yet, man. I don't want to know.
he,
Uh,
he's his stuff. This is from me vaguely remembering. I vaguely remember nothing about him, but if I'm not wrong, he's just one of the great poets. Nothing about his stuff is sexual. I don't want to say
hmm.
nothing. I mean, I'm sure you write poems, something's going to be sexual, but it's not like it's not like watching a nudie mag or anything like that. You know, it's just he really was. He was one of the greats. Um,
Okay. It
yep.
makes it no less perplexing now that I know that. So, yeah, yeah, man. He kept like, yeah, he discussed that quite a bit, which in that part, he was also in a weird part of his life where, he like we were talking about a minute ago, he did this exchange program, and that was a year of just torture. And he even admits it was that at the end of it all. Um,
Right, and he says that he needed that because he calls himself a prep, you know, a very extroverted, um, but then he needed that time to reflect on himself, and um, that's what great literature like Lord Byron will make you do, right?
mm,
Um, and you can see through some of the stories that he tells during the first, I think it was 6 months that he lasted at the, what was her name, Norvale's, Norvale,
mm.
whatever.
Was it
But
six? Yeah, I
he's
guess it was.
yeah, it was 6 to 8 months, something like that. But during that time, his conviction just gets stronger and stronger until he finally punches the guy in the face. But it was just like um, the guy coming up to him
Oh
and it's
no,
like
I don't think he punched him in the face. I think he punched through the door.
he punched
Right.
the wall.
Yep.
He punched the door. Yeah, you're right. But he, when they're like, "You're gonna call us mom and pop for the remainder of your stay,"
Whoa. Like, he had more patience than I would at that point. That
yeah,
would
and
be
he told
where
him no.
I got the heck out of there.
Yeah, he told him no. Even after the wife is crying the next morning,
Oh, how
screaming,
weird.
crying.
How
Yeah,
weird.
totally odd family. Um, and then the other thing with um the son's girlfriend,
Oh yeah.
where the mom had too many, and
Yeah,
the
he's
mama's like,
trying. Yeah, the
kiss her
mom's.
on the lippies.
Oh God, now that in itself, Lippies in itself, especially when he said it or when you just said it just then, it was so cringeworthy. Like,
Yeah,
just makes me feel, ugh,
and the whole family sitting there egging him on, and he
yeah, weird stuff, man.
took it like a man and did what he was supposed to do.
Mm.
Um, I feel like that's what that whole time was about, and then them for the rest of the couple of months that was okay. Where I think he ended up staying with two or three different families there in Australia, um, that were normal.
Yep.
Um, that's what kind of brought him out of that. I'm gonna go be a monk because that's what he was saying. I mean, how insane do you have? How insane do you have to be to force a person to eat a head of lettuce with ketchup every night?
Yeah,
It's,
how
yeah, you
weird.
know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like,
just odd
ketchup
people.
on lettuce. Like that was my. And by the way, I'm gonna run 6 miles after work every day,
Yeah.
and then eat lettuce with ketchup,
Yep.
and weigh 140 pounds.
Yeah.
I weigh 240 pounds. I weigh like 230, but still, that's crazy, bro. He's not a small dude, is he?
No.
Or
Wait,
Hmm.
Matthew?
Mm-hmm.
First name basis, Matthew McConaughey.
Oh yeah, my boy Matthew. Not really. This book
Uh,
really
uh,
doesn't give the same feel as the Girl book.
yeah.
Storyteller, I've really felt like Dave Grohl was my boy
Yeah.
at the end of that book.
Um,
I have respect for McConaughey and appreciate his life, but he's not my boy.
that's the thing with actors is it's so hard to be like, what's his base weight because he has to fluctuate so much for
Yeah,
his acting career. But I feel like that like 160, 170
yeah,
is around where he kind of stays at. But
yeah. That's where I'd like to get to, but that ain't happening anytime soon.
I want like 180, 190.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 230. Sitting solid at 230, man. That whole competition that we did, man, I am still dead in it, bro. Like, I haven't given up, and I'm just sitting solid right there at 230 no matter what I do.
I hit 210 and I'm
Oh, yeah.
210 to 215.
Yeah.
And I know the things that I'm supposed to be doing. But like it's Nurses Week this week, and everywhere I look is cupcakes and
Oof.
cookies, and
Oof.
I just have no self control. I'm okay until like 4 o'clock hits, and I'm like,
Yeah. I actually said no to an ice cream sandwich last night.
dag.
I nearly fainted in the process, but I did actually say no. Yeah, sorry, I don't know how to turn that audio off. Okay, great. Okay, so let's see, what else, man? Really, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just in a weird mood right now because the book was good. I thought the
Yeah,
book was good. The book was good. I feel like I'm being a little too negative on the book right now.
no, I really did enjoy it. Even um like his his wet dreams, and then he went and pursued it in real life, right?
Yep.
And even tells if you the first time he talks about it, he says, I knew I was in the Amazon rainforest. So I pulled up a map and was looking in Africa. And if you didn't find it, because the Amazon rainforest is where?
Yep. South America.
South America. And yeah, like I really, really enjoyed it. And then just that like soul searching, finding yourself kind of stuff. And you can tell he got all that. Even even whenever he comes to America and he gets his own truck that he's living out of with his dog, and then the camper, and he's living life on the road, like you can tell most of that came from those 6 months being alone in Australia.
Yep.
Like he really found how to just live by himself, and you can't. A lot of people can't do that. We had that discussion in 12 Rules for Life. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, then there was a couple other things from 12 Rules for Life. I'd like to talk about one of them right now, actually. But I just want to point out something you just mentioned. Like, Matthew McConaughey was doing van life decades before van life was cool. Like, Matthew McConaughey not only like had this nice camper that he dragged around with his his wife and family, like later on, like he started out with a van that he tricked out and traveled, and like so many people aspire to do that these days, and I've
He
done it a little bit myself, and it's like he was doing that
He had his truck. I specifically remember this, but the truck, was it a truck or was it like a, what was the first thing he had that he was
I
driving
think it was a
around?
van. I'm pretty sure it was a
It
van.
might have been a van. I don't know. I didn't get into all the semantics. I just kind of read it for what it was. But he had it. He tells you in detail some of the stuff that he had to it, like the PA system and the sound system and
Hmm.
all this, that, and the other. He had
Oh,
in
oh, oh,
some
the truck in
kind
high
of
school.
the.
Yeah, sorry, dude. Yeah, yeah, he
Well, no, no,
totally had a
no.
truck. Oh, he did
He had a
have
truck in
one. No,
high
he got
school.
because of the truck in high school. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so he got another truck, and then he ends up pulling a camper with it. And
Yep.
he talks about some of the things that he did with the truck, and he had a some kind of
Funnel. The funnel
old
was a nice touch.
pan funnel thing, yeah, that
Yep.
he could just pee in, so he
Yep.
didn't have to get out of his truck to pee.
Yep.
That's freaking the high life, dude. Like, there's been many, many times where I'm like, I'm going duck hunting in the morning. I'm at work right now. It's gonna be 19 degrees tomorrow. I know that the second I park my boat and I'm getting ready to shoot ducks, I'm going to have to pee.
Mm-hmm.
I could just grab a freaking condom cath right now and a leg bag while I'm here at work, and I could just strap that motherfreaker on, and I don't that and pee, and it goes straight into a bag, and I ain't got to worry about it. And I've come so close to doing it,
Oh, is
and
there
I'm
a
like, nah,
market for that? We need to know. Is there a market for the
no,
hunting condom cat?
no.
can you can you imagine like not putting the cath on right, pissing all over yourself, and then you don't get a duck at the end of it all? It's just like you come back just completely covered in your own piss without a single duck.
Oh my god,
Yeah, good times.
not worth it. This song not worth it whatsoever. None.
uh, I will say, man, like where he starts talking about starting a family. That's really that's about the closest I get with Matthew in this book. You know, like that's where I feel almost like, all right, this is my boy. Um, yeah, God, I can't remember exactly what he said about like there was one part where he made like this one statement about it being just oh God, he actually made a statement about like after you have your first kid is like one of the few moments in your life where you have real clarity. You remember that part of the book?
Where you are masculine.
Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe that's what it is.
I remember. Um, I'm gonna cut you off just for a second. I'm gonna
Yeah,
back
that's
up
fine.
like 5 sentences. Um, but he also talks about the honeymoon phase. No one can be a
That was a good one.
10 your whole life,
Yep.
right? No one can be a 10. No one can live up to those expectations. I think he straight says she cannot be Wonder Woman 100% of the time, and you cannot be Mr. Incredible 100% of the time.
Yep.
Um, unless you have a daughter,
Yeah. Right. Right.
right? About starting the family.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's exactly what it was. I was trying to think of that is it.
Yeah.
Because that one hit home. I was like, yes, yes.
He starts talking about there's a man is never more masculine. I
Mm.
can forget the actual phrasing, the words that he uses, but and they're important, but I'm not going to remember them. And he explains that he doesn't mean macho masculine, macho manliness. He means an actual man
Yep.
than when you're a dad.
Yep.
That those first couple of weeks, and I 100% knew what he was talking about only because I have 3 kids. You know,
Yep.
um,
Yep.
your whole world revolves around
Oh
your
my god.
children the second
Oh
you
my
become
god.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy how like people can tell you stuff like that, but you just don't fully understand it. You don't feel it until it actually happens to you. I guess that's the difference is of course you're intelligent enough to comprehend the words that these people are saying. You just don't understand the feeling of it because you haven't felt it yet.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I will say, just as a generalization, I think people, I have this perception of like actors as being somewhat sissy. Like they're very like to stereotype, to generalize, they're very like well, they're artistic, are autistic. They're autistic. They're artistic. um and that's not Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey is the Renaissance man that he describes in his own book. You know, like he's a rugged dude. Like to go float in naked in the Amazon on a hit of ecstasy. That's a dude that
Well, this is like the manliness that I think about. Um, it's not the Amazon rainforest trip; it's the Africa trip when he tells
mm,
everyone that his
yeah,
name
that
is
was gnarly.
David and that he is a boxer or something like that.
Yep.
And he goes to one of the tribes, and there's the
Which why did he have to
strongest.
say he was a boxer? I don't remember that part.
I don't know. It's just part of the story,
Yep.
it's part of his
Right.
story that he was telling people. Um, but goes to the African tribes, and there's the strongest person in the tribe, that
Right.
tribe, the surrounding tribes, and all of this, and they do that competition, and he I don't think it's really clear if he wins or not, but he says, "I am a fighter," tells everyone that he is, and then someone challenges him and he stands up to him and he performs really really well. Like I said, I don't remember if he actually wins or not.
He does.
Um, but he
Well,
gets
it's because it wasn't about winning or losing.
right. It's your conviction. It's that you
It's do you accept the challenge?
right. Um, and he did, and he gained a lot of respect, especially from that fighter. He walked with him all the way to the next village, holding hands.
Yeah.
Not in like you got to remember that's Africa, so it's not like a
Yeah,
couple
that's a
thing. It's a
that I don't think he explains that in this book either. So I want to. Mm. So there are in a lot of other cultures, uh, there are it's acceptable for masculine men to hold hands in certain situations. Like it's totally not considered weird whatsoever. It's a sign of like companionship in a totally heterosexual way. Like I trust you, I appreciate you, I want to hold your hand type situation, or let me guide you type situation. Yeah, no joke. Like in certain cultures, like that is not a weird thing for a grown man to take your hand.
I'm truly curious if that was normalized in America, what men's health would do.
Well, you'd probably get a lot sicker from holding hands and not washing our hands after.
Man, shut up.
Oh
um,
man. We just had a major technical difficulty. I don't know how much footage we just lost. But it is what it is, man. And I do there what we were talking about whenever it cut out for us was how like there was at least like a similar feeling on my behalf where between like some of the stuff we talked about with 12 Rules for Life in this book, particularly like his experience in school. And like he started out going to school to be a lawyer, right? And then that got changed to I'm going to go to school for film school. Um, and once he got into film school, he just started going out for any job he could, just trying to get a gig in the industry. And at some point, he got in trouble with the dean, right? And had to go sit down with the dean and was able to like basically said to the dean, as long as I make it to the every exam, just let me get out of here with a C. Let me continue to pursue these jobs in the industry, and as long as I take the test and pass, like, give me a C across the board. And like when he goes to graduate, or finish semester, whatever it was, it was C's straight across the board. And he said, like, he learned so much more getting out there and pursuing those gigs than he ever would have trying to make straight A's in school. And it's like, it's again, you don't necessarily have to have a 4-year degree to like find some major success in a career somewhere. It's more about taking a step back, looking at the big picture. Like I did a short on this, right? Like, he was going to school to be a lawyer. Let's say a trial lawyer, right? Like, that's what comes to mind. More than likely, trial law. What do? They tell stories. They tell the story of what happened, right? So that's already a storyteller. But it wasn't right for him. At some point, he took a step back. He was able to be introspective and really understand what it is that he wanted to do with his life. He didn't need a degree for that. I'm not saying everybody's going to be an actor, a successful actor, but it's applicable in, so many different career paths that can provide a high quality of life. I'm living one of them right now. I got a interview scheduled pretty soon. It's for the solar podcast, and we talked about it last week. We talked about it on the last episode. Yeah, that dude. He had a successful career in music, and then now works alongside me in the solar industry. And I think we're both pretty happy with where we landed in the grand scheme of things. It's good to see data uploading on my end now. That's we'll at least have a few minutes of an episode for today. Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. What a book.
Yeah, it was interesting. I really enjoyed his, like, this is how I did my career. And all the stepping stones, I think his major stepping stones, and starting out in college, and because that's what he said. The gigs and stuff that he was going to do, he straight up told you, I would act, I would produce, I was directing, I was editing. He did everything. Um, Even later on, um, once he's, I think this was after his first child was born. Um, his studio was calling him, and he saw the number and decided not to answer it.
Yep.
And he was like, I had 5 main things that was going on in my life, and I felt like I was making C's in all of them, so I dropped 2.
Yep. Shut it down.
Obviously was in a position to where he could just do that and decide, hey, I don't want to do rom-coms anymore. I want more serious roles. And I think he went 2 years, basically, without really.
Yeah, I can't remember how long it was, but yeah, it was a super long time.
But
super long time.
All I could think about was how much money that kind of cost him. He talks about one of the movies, they were like $5 million, $10 million, $15.4 million. And he was like, no, because he had made up his mind. I want more serious roles.
Yep. That's probably one of the more positive things about this book is it's a great, it provides great examples of self-reflection.
Right. Yeah.
Dude is totally introspective. I feel like he's done a lot of hallucinogens in his lifetime.
Yeah, ecstasy on the Amazon River, where he saw a mermaid tail.
A mermaid, and then married her later on in life.
Yeah. More than likely the mermaid tail was just like a red-tailed catfish or something like that, because but whatever.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what Matthew McConaughey's wife looks like, but I know she's attractive just by the way he describes and talks about her.
Yeah.
You know,
I,
he describes a perfect family.
I,
He
I really enjoyed, and it put a lot of things in perspective for me. I really enjoyed when he was talking about relationships and how sometimes relationships look really, really good from afar. And you get on top of it and you're just like, no, go back over there. You know,
Yep. Yep.
you can relate that to not just people, but just anything, your actual job and stuff like that. And I, yeah, thinking about that kind of put some things. I had something happen at work the other day, and some people were asking me to do stuff. And I was just like, no, I'm not gonna do it. And they were like, why? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna give you the gist of it. Um, I've run myself to death today. I've put in 3 midlines. I transferred a patient to ICU. So when we're transferring a patient to ICU, it means that they have gone down. Um, they were stable. Now all of a sudden they're not stable, and for whatever reason, they need a higher level of care. Trying to prevent someone from going into cardiac arrest for whatever reason. Um,
Yep.
and now it is 6:30. I haven't sat down. I haven't done any of my charting today, and I need 30 minutes to chart. And second of all, I'm not going to do it because that's not my job description. That shouldn't be in any nurse's job description. And no, I'm not going to do it. And don't ask another nurse on this floor to do it. And they looked at me like I was crazy. And they went to the next nurse to do it. And I said, what did I just say? You go do it. That is your job. That's what we're here in this hospital to do is our jobs. And no nurse is going to do that for you while I'm standing here. Go do it. It's your job. And I don't know. I don't think I would have really done that if I hadn't just read Dave Grohl's book and this book. I think both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I 100% was expecting um a call the next day from my boss being like, "You got wrote up because you were rude," and I was expecting
Mm-hmm.
to, and I was just gonna go ahead and be like, "I don't care. I hate
Sure.
I hate that you have to take your time to call and tell me that I did something wrong, that I got wrote up. The guy was telling me something to do something that's not in our job description, so on and so forth. But no, I never got in trouble or anything, and I could kind of care less. The guy looked at me um, with slanted eyes all day today. I give a shit.
Be all right. Yeah, that was one thing he was saying about what style really is, and a part of that is not caring what anybody thinks anymore.
Right,
You know.
right.
Yeah, that was a good part of the book. Yeah, man, I shouldn't have been so rough on the book, and I feel like I was too rough on this book in the beginning because it very well could all be true.
Yeah,
I shouldn't even mess with it. Just take it as it is. It's been presented as a book that's intended to be, you know, non-fictional. So leave it at that because it
it,
does provide some good value for sure.
I don't feel like one of the things to understand with me is a lot of things that I say. I try to leave my own opinion out of it because
Mm-hmm.
all in all, I like the book, but that first quarter where he is constantly that, like later on when he's like when he says something good and then he's just like green light. And that's
Mm-hmm.
around the part where I'm like, okay, I can listen. It's easy listening and it's engaging and it has a flow to it. But the
Yep.
first part, when he's randomly yelling at you, I could care less about. But other than that, like I said, the substance, the meat and potatoes,
Yep.
right, of the book,
Yep. Good book.
really,
Yep.
really good.
Yeah, man. It's Yeah, I definitely would recommend it. It's a good one. It's a good listen to. I shouldn't have been so rough on the production either, because like I did listen to it driving a little bit, and it's better than a lot of other audiobooks that I've listened to by leaps and bounds. So I the the prescriptions I totally got where you were coming from when we were talking about that earlier, but
Yeah, I feel like
It's a good one, man. It's a good one all the way around. I strongly recommend this one.
yeah, that's one of the things about audiobooks, cause and that's just gonna have to be the form that I take in these books. I am too busy. Um, I'm not too busy. I could sit down and read, but I'm not going to.
It's a lot, man. There's
I
all the waking hours are committed to something, right?
yeah, I've finally bought actual earpods, like nice ones, and it's
Mm-hmm.
freaking life changing just to have them in
Yes.
my ear, and the I'm listening to music, and all of a sudden I have a phone coming in, and I can be like, answer that, and it automatically. I don't have to stop doing what I'm doing. It just answers the phone call, and I'm talking to someone, and someone who's very hands on like me, um, especially out on the farm and stuff like that. It just works for me, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm a phone call person. I don't like to text. I
Yep.
You can just Otis. I don't text. If I just need to call and ask you, hey, is where's the 10 millimeter socket is, and you were the last one to use it, I'm not going to text you. I'm going to call you
Mm-hmm.
because I need to know now.
Yeah. And it's so bad because I can't talk right now, but I can
It's
text
fun.
all the time. I always have something going on where I'm sorry, I got to give my attention here, but I can text you periodically.
I hate it. And my wife is the same way.
But
My wife is a texter.
oh
So
yeah,
yeah.
well that's why we do this, and it's perfect. It's perfect. What are we gonna do next?
Um, I was thinking about saying let's go ahead and do something long format,
Hmm.
like we did with um 12 Rules for
12
Life,
rules. Okay.
but I'm liking the lighter stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier, especially right now with how busy I am with everything that's
Yep.
going on.
Yep.
Um, so no, let's find something.
I know one that I'm gonna do. It's the right thing to do, and I got some stuff to learn. I'm gonna do the Coast Guard um handbook.
Okay.
I'm gonna read through that one. I'm gonna try to put some materials together to, you know, kind of go through the book. If you wanted to do that with me, that'd be cool.
That would probably
But
be appropriate, seeing how there's video proof of us on one of our videos of me driving a boat and you going, hey, there's a buoy, aren't we supposed to be on the other side of that? And I was like, I don't know, I don't care, and then immediately running into a sandbar. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Check that video out. That was a fun one. We need to do another trip pretty soon too.
Uh-huh.
It's time. It
Yeah.
was this time last year. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
We
I'm
did that
pretty
trip.
sure it was. Oh.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
time we need to do the camping trip we talked about
Yeah, we do.
because we both have time to go on a camping trip right now.
All the time, man. Well, once it gets
All the time.
dark is when I'll start driving, and then we can
Mhm.
just like get to the place that we're gonna camp at like 2 o'clock in the morning,
Mhm.
and then I just need to be up at like 5 or 6, and then get home by around 7. Yeah, man, it'd be
Yep.
perfect.
Get up by 5 or 6, and then you're gonna have to run the John boat back because we're camping on Lee
Yeah,
Island.
whatever.
So
The John boat will fly,
to get
son,
back.
compared to other boats.
Wow. Okay. All right. Hey, and welcome to Maryland. I'm in Maryland now, and that episode was it was a lot of fun. It was a little rough on the technical difficulties side of things, and I think that's fine. I think this was a good place to end the conversation. We lost a lot of footage, but that just leaves room for you to join us in this conversation. And like, it's, I don't know, I don't want to be cliche or lame, but the thing is, like, if you're watching this, you've made it all the way to the end of this episode, which is inevitably well over an hour long. So you're already kind of one of our boys. You know, you might as well just join the conversation. And here's the thing, like, we're going to do Kevin Hart's book next. Kevin Hart wrote I Can't Make This Up. And so we're going to do that one. Like we talked about at the end of the Dave Grohl episode, we're going to do the Coast Guard safety handbook. We both enjoy boating, and that's a big part of our lives, and it's important for us to be safe out on the water with our families, so we have to do that. We figure might as well share what we learn with you while we're at it. I'm going to continue to do the 12 months to 1 million series, and there's plenty of other directions we can go in, right? If there's anything that you want to cover with us, we're happy to do that. You just gotta let us know, and we're easy to reach, so feel free to reach out at any point. But I've already started Kevin Hart's book. It is absolutely hilarious. Strongly recommend checking it out because it's already turning out to be. So I hope you join us over there on that episode. Feel free to check out any of the other books that we've done. And again, let us know what you want to cover, because we'll be more than likely happy to cover it with you. So thanks for sticking it out with us. We'll see you on the next one.